Hey, what's up, Geekscapists? Welcome to a brand new Geekscape episode. I missed you guys. It's been 2 weeks, and I got to tell you, it's been quite the week. This past week, I didn't want to come into the show because we've been talking about a lot of heavy issues the last couple episodes. Didn't want to come in and be like, hey, I know you've spent all day doom scrolling through Twitter for the latest catastrophe that's happened. How can you avoid it? So I didn't want to hit you again with that on Geekscape. So one thing I want to do, because the comments are open right off the bat, is if you guys are watching this live on YouTube or maybe Facebook or Twitch, I want you guys to start commenting with something awesome that happened to you guys over the last 2 weeks since you guys have missed me. So if you're watching this live, go ahead and write it up there. Maybe I'll throw it up at the bottom of the screen. We've got a good episode for you guys today. We got the creators and the cast of Casting the Net. It's I want to say it's an independent series, but it's not. It's kind of a niche series. I'm going to go ahead and say that it's a niche series that you guys can watch. If you guys are fancy, you can say niche series. And we're going to talk about how they put this thing together and how you guys can find it. Because I think we've talked about this a lot on Geekscape over the history of Geekscape, about making content for yourself and making content for your group. And I don't know, it seems familiar. Oh, it sounds like Geekscape. It sounds like a little thing that I started back in 2005, 2006 to make content for people like me. You guys, the kind of people who would wear a Michelangelo shirt on a live stream way back when. And here you guys are. I think we're the like mind, and I'm trying to make content for you guys. So yeah, if you guys are listening to this, let's talk about the positive things that have happened for you guys in the last 2 weeks. I'll tell you, major life stuff going on over here at the Geekscape studios, which is really, let me get the sign. The moment, it's the Dweeb Darling Studios, because I'm doing this out of Heidi's bedroom. She's been nice enough to put up with me live streaming out of her bedroom during the pandemic, but pretty soon this is going to just be the Geekscape Studios because I moved in. So that's something positive. I made a little life move, and I moved in with Heidi last week. And so far, a week hasn't really gone by. It's almost been a week. Hasn't killed me yet, but now I'm here, and there's a second room, and I think I'm going to build this thing out. So there's a cool background, and maybe we can, when the pandemic's over, have some guests here to talk to you guys. So there's a little bit of life progression going on here, and we're not going to let any of the negative stuff that has happened basically in 2020 keep us down. We're not going to ignore it, though. Geekscape, as you know, we've been too socially minded the last couple episodes to do that. But what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to not forget about the positive stuff going on now. So if you guys are watching this and you guys got a little commenting going on, go ahead and throw me like something awesome that has happened to you guys over the last 2 weeks. And I want to hear it. And maybe we talk about it here on the show, because as much as we have to stay active, we have to stay socially minded, we have to keep pushing all of these things forward, we also have to just be able to get up in the morning. And so that means counting our blessings. So let's count our blessings. Let's remember that we got Geekscape. We got you and me and this little thing that we do together. And let's count our blessings. They're starting to come in. And I don't know if these are nice comments or not, but we got Daniel Campuzano over there. It's Big Yanks on our forums. He's talking in from, here he is. He's actually in Long Island. And he says he got a robot vacuum. Okay. Big Yanks got a robot vacuum. I'm happy for him. Just like, check the upgrades, because after a while, and we're going to have Willard Pugh on the show. Willard was in RoboCop 2, and he knows all about the dangers of technology when you upgrade it too much. I think he was in the scene where, like, in RoboCop 2, where like the dude's head splits open because it's we'll talk to him about it. So Willard Pugh's coming up. He's part of the cast of Casting the Net. We'll ask him about the RoboCop 2 scene. So Big Yanks, you're going to want to hang tight for that, because it's cool that you got a robot vacuum. It could also be very dangerous. You also went ahead and commented that you like Heidi's decorations. Yeah, no, we're going to have to do something about this now that I'm a permanent resident of the apartment. And I think what we're going to do is I'm just going to move into the other room. She can keep her decorations. I'll move into the other room, and I'll set up something nice and geeky for you guys. Nice background. And then Andrew Jones says, you ready for this? I think Andrew Jones may have been one of our guests. He says, we got a puppy. That's awesome. They got a puppy. That's huge. And Linara says, that's his wife. She's a guest on the show too. She says, it's the cutest puppy in the world. So I don't know, maybe they'll bring the puppy up on the camera, but I think that that is as good an introduction as anybody, as any, and we'll see what if they can do it. Sure. Okay, now, okay, there's a private chat that goes on here at the Geekscape studio in StreamYard, and my guests are using the private chat to not just talk to each other, but here we go. Chelsea London does say pics, or it didn't happen. Andrew and Linara, please, we're gonna need pics of that puppy. So let's get those pics on deck, and actually, let's just get you guys on deck. I want to welcome them to the show. They are the creators and star and director of this new show I want you guys to check out. It's called Casting the Net. And here is my good friend Andrew Jones. Hello. And his amazingly talented wife and the star of Casting the Net, Linara Washington. How are you guys?
Hi. I'm well, thank you.
Good to see you.
What do you guys think? Keep the decorations or
no?
not?
Don't keep the decorations.
Yep, I didn't think so, but you know, Heidi's got her own thing, and she's even told me, she's like, now that you've moved in, like, change it up. And I'm like, it won't be on camera that much longer. We'll use the second bedroom to make
just
it.
The fact that there's a bed in the background is just, you know, a little special.
The pandemic required, you know, this as a filmmaker, the pandemic, like it gave us hurdles that we had to creatively work around, and
Exactly.
that's something that I didn't really work too much around. We just accepted and moved on.
Yeah.
You know how these variables work in
That's
filmmaking.
our life now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like your piano though, and that is a nice
Thank you.
bit of decoration. So you guys have kind of told us this, but what is going on with the positive things that have gone on in the last 2 weeks? What's something positive that you guys can say happened in the last 2 weeks?
Well, we got a puppy.
Mhm.
He's an 8-week-old Maltipoo that my daughter named Teddy Bear because, well, he looks like a teddy bear. And if we get a moment, maybe you can call her to come bring it so that everyone can see it. But he is nothing but pure joy and love. A little bit of work, but overall, we've just really enjoyed having him around.
And these Maltipoos are like, they're all teeth when you start out, right? Like they just want to chew on everything.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a little nippy. We're working on it. But in
Yeah.
general, he just follows us all around and loves to cuddle. He's very sweet, got great temperament.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I think Heidi's experiencing a similar situation right now with what just moved into her place. So I think that's going on. I think it's also cool that you guys are actually like the number one of the top shows on this platform. Let's talk a little bit about Casting the Net and what's
Yes.
going on, because when Andrew was like, hey, I think we should come on the show. And I was like, I think I agree with you that you should come on the show. He told me about this new series that you guys have put out, the first season of. It's called Casting the Net. And he said that it's on this platform called Urban Flix TV. And I went to check it out. And it seems like these platforms, there's a lot of them. And they're usually niche platforms. And you show up and you're like, okay, the content usually is pretty bad. I'm sorry. It's usually pretty bad. I go to this Urban Flix TV thing, and I'm not just, it's got some really good stuff on there. Like the quality is pretty high, and I hadn't heard of it. So Geekscape us, like, maybe you're hearing about Urban Flix TV for the first time now, but some of the like talent that they have on here is really high. I checked out some of the movies. I looked at your series. Like there's a lot going on here. The production values are really high. This is like equivalent to the stuff you would find on Amazon or Netflix.
It's the real deal. Yeah. I mean, they've been building this network for about the past 2 years. And I too wasn't sure what to expect. And when it finally launched, close to 2 months ago now,
Yeah.
I was blown away. I mean, it looks like Netflix. A lot of the programming could very well be on Netflix. I think our show, you know, is very mainstream. And that's kind of what you hit on, is that it does look like Amazon. It looks like Netflix. It looks like Hulu. The quality is all tremendously high. And they've spent a lot of time and a lot of money acquiring these great movies and TV shows. And ours is one of the original TV shows that they produce. So we're an Urban Flix TV original. And we shot it, almost a year ago now. So we're really happy that it finally launched. And yeah, we've been in the top 10 for ever since it launched. So we're really pleased about that.
And where did the idea for this series come from? Linara, can you tell us a little bit about like what the series is about, what the origins of it were the Texans showing. Sorry, Geekscape.
Well, it sort of follows the life of three actresses who are also good friends, who are kind of tired of the hustle, tired of sort of being stuck in stereotypical roles, and they decide to take it upon themselves to create a little buzz. You know, they want to raise their social media numbers. So they come up with this idea about making a movie, that they're not actually, it's a fake movie. They put out breakdowns, they hold auditions just under the guise of, again, getting some attention from Hollywood, getting people to maybe sniff it out and you know, get excited about something with no intention of actually making it. But then they find themselves in a situation where everybody wants a piece of it. Everybody really likes the story, and you know, what ensues is how they go about actually bringing it all together. And Andy, I mean, Andy could probably speak more to this, but it originally started as a movie where he's one of these writers who he listens to everything. I think any good writer is a good listener. And Andy's one of these people who sees everything and hears everything, even when you're not thinking that he's hearing or seeing anything. And I would come home with stories about auditions where really weird, freaky, strange, annoying, stereotypical, I'm tired of being the black hooker third to the left of Superstar.
I can see how that would wear on you.
Or he'd hear stories from my fellow friends who'd also, have any number of interesting happenings in their career. And he started collecting them and created these characters based on a lot of what we were sharing with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
yeah. Well, so as these stories start to compile themselves into a narrative, like what are some of the highlight stories that you were just like, as an actress, like enough is enough? Because in a sense, like this is both a diary and a way to kind of scream back and make fun of the situations that you were repeatedly put in,
right?
Through your career. And you are not the only actor. This is everybody who goes through this, but you are one of the few actors who then put it to pen and then put it to camera and put it together. What were some of the scenes that when you were reenacting, it was like, oh man, it was like yesterday that I went through this and we're reliving it. What's maybe
some of the true stories were like the when you went to the audition and your headshot was put into other Caucasian and other. Those were the only two categories.
Caucasian and other.
Yeah.
So a lot of it were just the things that I watched her go through as a black actress.
Yeah. Oh, like the stories black enough, for instance. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
You weren't black enough.
Being in a room and being given a script that it's a scene that's maybe a little more. I'm trying to think of a good word for it, because we've come to sort of have ideas about what it is to do black projects and what they signify. So like something a little more gritty, something a little more hood, as opposed to upper middle class, right? And you're doing the scene, and then the casting director says, "Okay, that's great. Can you just be a little more black?" And I remember thinking, this is me. And if it's not the right type of, if I'm not playing the character in the way that you want is one thing, but to ask me to be more black sort of insinuates that there is one way or a certain way to be black, which we all know, like any other person, we run the gamut. But that's a popular one.
And that's one of the scenes in the show.
So that's kind of a running gag, if you will, that she's always being accused of not being black enough. Yeah. Can you be a little blacker? And those are things that we have dealt with. Those are things that we have dealt with in her career and our lives together, creating things together. She's half Brazilian. I'm going to speak for you. You're right there. Half African American, half Brazilian. So Linara tends to always refer to herself as black. Well, sometimes some African Americans may take offense to that and have, because you're not owning being African American. She said, but I'm half. So there's struggles all over the place with that.
Right. And yeah, I mean, I get slack sometimes for having married a white man, and how
not Andrew specifically.
Well, yeah, Andrew, the white man. Yes, Andrew, the white man. Yeah,
what the slack that you would get for marrying Andrew, and how long have you guys been married?
We're going on, wow, 9 years?
Yeah, we've been together since 2008. We met on the first feature film that I directed called Kings of the Evening. And it was with Glenn Turman and Lynn Whitfield, and Willard Pugh was in it. That's where we met. That's where we met. That was back in 2007 that we shot that.
Right.
So here we are. And we have an adorable little 6-year-old.
Yes. Who's also in the show.
She's in the show.
Yeah. Playing my daughter, Amber.
Okay. Sorry, I hit one tiny thing trying to read a comment and it dropped me from the studio, but I'm back. That was quick. Sorry, that totally shook me. Live broadcasting Geekscape.
You left us hanging there.
I hit one button. I wanted to hear the story about how they met, how long they've been together on the film, and I hit one button trying to get to your comments, and I messed it all up. That's live broadcasting for you Geekscapists, and I'm that's the cost of being able to talk to you guys live and do this, especially during the pandemic. I don't even know how I would do the old show that was just audio and in person outside of this pandemic. So like, honestly, guys, you guys are a mixed race couple. I'm a product of a mixed race couple. And literally an hour before this broadcast, we were talking about diversity, and I was talking about a film that I want to make, and we had actually cast the lead the week prior to the COVID shutdown, and the lead is Hispanic, and we're getting in the joke. It's a joke between Heidi and I, and really it came out of the conversation that has happened many times during my career about making my last name my mother's last name of Sanchez, and it's just not who I am, but I run into that same thing of, you're not Hispanic enough for the Hispanics, I'm just not Latino enough for the Latinos, and I'm not white enough for the white ones, but I'm pretty white, it turns out. So how's the last month been for you guys? Because I know for me, I'm trying to like figure out what my place is in this conversation.
Yeah, you know,
it's been a lot of conversations. It's been a lot of learning, I think, for all of us.
Especially with a child who is seeing all this stuff, unfold, and she's 6 years old. So she's a very smart and aware and empathetic 6-year-old, but also she's 6. And there's having to sort of explain to her the varying degrees of all the happenings in the world right now. So yeah, we find ourselves having a lot of wonderful, sometimes difficult discussions about what does that mean for? I mean, in some ways for us, it's easy to sort of place. I know who I am. I know where I fit. I think Andy knows who he is. He's a white male. I'm a black female. There are a lot of pieces that go with that. But then you have a child who is the product of both of these experiences, and you have to sort of help her figure out who she wants to be. So yeah, lots of conversations.
And you want to protect her. We want to protect her from all, and on top of COVID and a pandemic and all that, where we're already dealing with so much and the big shifts in her life, having to do homeschooling for the end of her kindergarten year, there's been so much we're dealing with. And then all of this happened. And it's good that it happened, because it brought all these discussions to the forefront. And that's why I think our show is very timely. It's about strong women. It's about strong Black women dealing with all these issues that we've been talking about. They're just dealing with them in a funny way, hopefully. But it's all very timely. It's everything that we're living through right now.
And do you believe that making content for a Black audience, and I don't want to necessarily say that, because when you go to Urban Flicks TV, they're very much like their tagline is that this is content for everyone. But when you go to Urban Flicks TV, you will see that it is Black content, like it is content from Black creators.
Right, and that was one of the things that really attracted me to Urban Flicks TV, that I thought was so brilliant about it, is that Herb Kimball, who's the man who founded the whole thing, and it's his vision, he wanted to redefine what urban means. And I really thought that was great, because we take urban content, we think BET.
I mean, honestly, when Linara was telling the story of going in and not being hood or Black enough, I thought the word was going to be like, hey, could you be more urban?
Well, usually
it is.
That's yeah.
Sometimes
often it is. But so Herb wants to redefine it to mean everybody. It's inclusive of everyone: white, black, Asian, Latino, gay, straight, everybody. And so he wants the network to represent that both in the content and the filmmakers. It's an interesting thing, though. We're talking about the word urban. I was talking to a British friend of mine doing a show for him. He lives here, but he's from London. And he said when Urban Flix opens up overseas, which they're about to launch internationally, he said urban has a totally different meaning in England. It just means city.
Yeah, you're in the city.
You're not the racial component to it.
Yeah.
So he's curious about how that's going to, is it going to be named the same thing? Is it still going to be Urban Flix TV? And what will the perception be? Because urban is a very different word there, which is kind of cool.
That's pretty interesting.
Maybe we'll get there someday.
Do you? Well, we can only hope. But as I said in the podcast two episodes ago, this problem is a problem that is based on the on the structure of our country, and it is a white problem that white people have to be involved intimately in fixing from the ground up. Because you know what, the comparison is, if you're at work and you're grumbling about your boss and the problems at work, nothing's going to change unless the person at the top changes it or you guys unionize. And what you guys are seeing out your window right now is an attempt to unionize, and at first it was peaceful and now it's really loud and you didn't listen at first. So nothing's going to change without the people at the top changing it, and we have set up this country so that the people at the top are white. So it's a white problem. They need to be very intimately involved in fixing it. Not to say that the only ones have to fix it, but they have to be involved or it's not going to get fixed. The whole thing needs to get fixed. And that's inherently American. So the question is, like, what do you call it in England and who does it represent? And then the question I wanted to have for you, Andrew, is, and Linara, you can answer this too, but like, what will we start seeing Urban Flix be start to branch out and maybe be representative of other, demographics, other voices? Not that there aren't a lot within the
I think if you dig deep, they're pretty much all there.
Yeah.
And that's why we have to support shows like Casting the Net, which are very female driven. And those are also stereotypes that we have to get over. And that, typically, I mean, we went through the Hollywood's So White. We've been through we've been through a lot in Hollywood in the past few years. And now we need to break all these stereotypes and these cliches and see that we can have shows about 3 black women and they can be very entertaining. This to me originally started as it's kind of a female Entourage. And I sort of want to make that hybrid of Entourage and Sex and the City. But it hasn't really been represented. So now it is. And I think it's a great time for it because all voices are being heard right now. We really are all listening now. I think that's the one great thing about this is we're all listening. So it's a good time for change, and it's a great time for Urban Flix. And
I think as we talked about on the last episode with Chris Cluey was that the big difference here, Geekscape, is social media. The big difference is that everyone's allowed and able to be in this conversation. Everybody is pulling and tugging and getting to the extent of the discomfort, and we're in it together. And honestly, if you see anything going on out there, Geekscape, and you had that conversation you've been avoiding with your aunt and uncle or your family member or friend where you kind of let the stuff slide, you got to speak up because the discomfort is the only way that we're going to get through. The only way through this is through, and we got to do it. It sucks. I know. You're like, what do I say? You don't want to be the person who like ruins the party or rocks the boat, but the boat is clearly going towards the falls. It is going to like crash on the rocks. This doesn't work. We gotta rock the boat. We can only learn through discomfort and the push and pull of this entire system. Let's hear some positivity. Our viewer, he's here every episode, and I love you so much, dude. I don't know how many years you've been a part of Geekscape, but I can always count on you for watching, and I love it so much. He's off of YouTube. Rick, though, says, something awesome that happened to me. I edited a best of video for my favorite YouTube streamer, and he said it was his favorite video, and he uploaded it yesterday. I don't know who the streamer is, but Rick, though, as soon as you're done with that, I'm going to need you to start working on a best of Geekscape. Thank you so much. That is awesome. But yeah, dude, that is cool. One thing that is cool is I've started to spend a little bit of time reacquainting myself with editing. I think you guys know you have those old shorts and footage and scripts that you don't finish, and I've just been putting myself back into those projects and being like, okay, well, I can edit this myself, or I should, you know, go back into those scripts or projects and start putting those things together. Well, we got a little bit of COVID time, so that's awesome that you guys are building muscles. And I think that Geekscapists, we're in a really weird time where our society is changing, and the pandemic had it going on its own. We got to create new muscles if we're going to survive. We have got to evolve. We have to push our new. We have to spend this time, like, no, you know, you can do your self-care. You can kick your feet up and play Last of Us 2, but you also, you know, need to flex a little bit and see like what you can come out of this pandemic having a new tool for. Maybe you're forced to do that because you lost a job, that kind of thing. But you gotta do it. And I think that we can all. This is an opportunity for us to evolve into new things. I might be able to become a better editor or a better writer. But when you see Chuck E. Cheese go bankrupt, you know there's no going back. All right, like our society's changing. Okay, let's bring them in because we've been talking about Willard. We've been talking about Charley. They're actors in Cast in the Net. Let's get them here on the show. Willard Pugh, you guys may recognize him from The Color Purple. He was also in RoboCop 2, as I mentioned before, because I love RoboCop 2. Here's Willard. How are you doing, brother? You doing all right?
You guys, I'm good. Can't complain. Every day above ground is a beautiful day.
But Willard, you remember when I was talking about that scene where the robot like goes crazy in RoboCop 2 and like splits its head open?
Yes, yes.
You're in that scene.
Yeah. Hey, what can I say?
Okay, I was actually thinking when they start talking about the militarization of the police, I was thinking about RoboCop because it made so many statements about the military, obviously, for RoboCop. At what point do we start to see like Donald Trump, and you saw like his whole presentation with Space Force, that you start to see Donald Trump like present the Ed 209 and be like, here it is, the future of law enforcement in America.
Whoever knew? We were ahead of our time.
Yeah, I've been waiting for it to come on CNN where they're like, something went wrong, and like the Ed 209 like shoots Stephen Miller out of a window or something. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not wishing it on anybody, but I'm saying, hey, like Big Yanks' robot vacuum, when you start messing with technology, you don't know where it's going to end up.
That is so true. That is so true.
Willard, you had previously worked with Andrew. It's awesome that you collaborated with him again. Like, was it fun coming back and being like, hey, let's flex some comedy muscles?
Hey, it's like family. You know, it was a great time with Kings of the Evening, and this has been a great experience. And he's just a very good guy, really super talented. I mean, he's an editor, a writer, a director, a producer. He truly does it all. There's a lot of people that people don't realize there are people who you're a one-man team. He's a one-man team that really can do it all for real. And there's very few people that can really do all that. And that's what makes him so good at what he does, because he can still step down and designate stuff to other people. But it's hard to tell people what to do when you don't know what they do. He knows everybody's job, so it makes it a lot more of a pleasant experience working with him.
And Andrew, you know I'm going to ask you later on. Like, you know, I mean, we're going to see if he can play the piano later on. It's there in the background of Andrew.
I didn't say he can play the piano now. I didn't say he can play the
I'm in front of a green screen. That's just a fake.
That's not your piano in the background.
That's a piano. Okay.
Well, we got another actor here. We got our good friend Charley Koontz. He's also in the show.
Hey, Charley.
How are you, man?
Hey, baby. I'm good. I am excellent. I've just been enjoying listening to everybody. How are all my sweet, sweet friends?
Everybody's good.
Excellent. Charley has played a geek before. He was in CSI. You know, which CSI was that? Because there are like 19 CSI. It's the cyber one, which has to be the techiest one of all, right? You were in
yeah, it was extreme techiness. I played the young, you know, computer expert that was you know, every 5 lines was a word about hard drives and scrubbing and things that Bitcoin, things that I have no clue about. I downloaded Chrome for this interview, which took me about an hour and a half. But
you're like, how does this work? But yet you were on a show called CSI Cyber, where you were like probably like the person chasing down cyber terrorists.
Yeah, I stand on the mark and say what they tell me to say, and I try to make it as believable as possible. So, you know, I have a little tiny bit of geek cred, but not much.
Do you get the geek roles a lot? Are you playing like a geek guy in Casting the Net? Is that kind of your thing?
No, my character in Casting the Net is kind of cool. I play a movie executive. So yeah, so in this one,
with the heart of gold.
With the heart of gold, of course.
That's called fiction. No kidding.
Right. No, I finally
cool and heart of gold. You're losing me.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's an oxymoron. But yeah, I finally found somebody who's got a little bit of power in the industry. So Linara was talking about how the fake movie sort of gets going, and it was all kind of intended to be under the radar and get a little buzz for them up at the top, but never, you know, actually thinking about going through with it. And then it's my character that sort of gets wind of it, starts to see a package coming together, and then tries to help them push it forward. So I'm beyond the keyboard this time, which is good.
But they're the ones who are like, hey, we're just going to put this together, and imagine it's like baiting a hook that they never intend to throw in the water, and you're the fish that bit, and,
exactly.
And like they reeled it up, and you're like, hey, I'm taking it to the top, and we're actually going to make this thing. I like as well that you guys cast our good friend Jenny Wanger, who is in the Geekscape produced film Chasing Fletcher Allen. Geekscape made a film last year, and Jenny was in it. And I look in the trailer, and there she is next to Eric Roberts.
Yes, she's playing an agent. Very kind of, Hollywood agent.
I think that was pretty cool. So what was the process of putting this thing together? So like Linara had the story, or had all these stories, and you'd experienced some of them firsthand, Andrew. How much of this was starting to be put together? And at what point, really, the question is, did the film script start to develop into an episodic?
I took the script to my very, very good friend, Phaedra Harris, who's also been a casting director on all my projects. And she went into Urban Flicks as an executive. And one of her many great talents is finding projects and finding filmmakers and putting them together with people. So Phaedra brought me into that mix. And she said a while ago, even before there was an Urban Flick, she said, I think this is a series. And I thought, okay, but I've already written a screenplay. I don't know what to do with the series. And so once she was at Urban Flicks, it found a home. And she was a real champion of it. She and I then collaborated on breaking it up and writing it into episodes. And she was able, you know, she's an African-American woman. So she was able to add a voice of authenticity that maybe I wasn't able to. I can kind of fake my way through it, but she was able to kind of check me on that stuff. So she really got behind the project and pushed it. And then the network really loved it, and they funded it. And here we are talking about it a year later.
And the network, where did this thing come from? This Urban Flicks TV, like it seems like they were funded. You said 2 years ago, and now they launched and they've got a ton of content.
And it's a big undertaking. It's not a little thing to start a streaming network. To do it right, I mean, the advertising, the content, the interface, all of that stuff. Again, it was Herb Kimball. It was a dream he's had for a long time. He used to be an actor, and then he became a businessman. He's a very, very successful businessman. Very smart, and he just decided, this is what I want to do. There needs to be a new network that's a little more inclusive, that's a little more representative of everything, of all of our lives. So it was his dream, and he was able to make that dream happen.
Now, would he be interested in maybe a show that is broadcast out of a dude's girlfriend's, like,
not if there's a bed back there? I mean, it's just that how to art direct this a little better.
That's where the Mogwai sleep. So. Like, yeah, that is just it's. I mean, when you catch them, you can't let them get wet. You can't feed them after midnight. They get into the cabinets. Next thing you know, you got gremlins. All right, but the net is for Mogwai to sleep in.
I like the decoration. I think it was awesome.
Okay, well,
I see so many of these now with someone's bed in the background, and generally it's not even made. They don't.
It's the
people don't even
pandemic.
bother to make the bed anymore.
you have to understand when, like, we've been at this since 2006. Sometimes there was like a pretty fancy couch and a Van Damme poster for Kickboxer, so like a good Van Damme movie. And I mean, we pulled out all the stops, and we're gonna get back there as soon as I start.
We're just in that time now where it's all okay to be human. I mean, Linara said, "Do I need to put makeup on?" It's like, no,
no, this isn't a red carpet. This is just Geekscape. It's authentic. It's sincere.
It is,
and you can see the you can see the edges, everything like that. So, how long did it take you guys to put this whole thing together? Like, and honestly, like, talk to me. Production-wise, did you guys have to be creative with the budget? Was the budget there? How supportive was it?
No, I mean,
like, talk about the whole thing.
I mean, it wasn't. It's not Netflix show budgets. It was lower budget than that. It all came together very quickly. Once it got the green light, they wanted it in production as fast as we could get it in production.
They knew about the COVID.
Yeah, they knew it was coming. We knew it was coming, so we got to go. So we shot it. We shot it over a course of 4 or 5 weeks, and then I was able to just pull back and edit and take my time editing. But it really went together quickly. And I mean, a lot of the actors in it are people that I've worked with in the past, like Charley and Linara and Jeff Johnson and John Zederko and Willard. And so, and honestly, a lot of those roles were written for those people. Now, being a new network, they still had to come in and win the role. They still had to come in and audition. There was still that process. It's a network.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, but thankfully, you guys didn't screw it up.
Well, it sucked too hard.
No. Hold on, Willard. I had Willard muted because I was getting feedback on his mic. But what were you saying, sir?
I was saying I had to audition to play myself. Okay, really?
He worked with Spielberg. He worked the people that Willard has worked with. Like, he still had to come in on audition.
Quincy Jones, Danny Glover, Whoopi, Oprah, and he made me audition to play myself.
I would have walked.
Willard will tell you too that I've been collecting his little stories all
Oh
over.
my God!
There's so many things that made it into the show, and that's the thing. I really do. I have this file cabinet in my head of just notice everything, and it eventually ends up in a movie and a TV show. So a lot of the little fun things about Willard that made it into the show are maybe exaggerations of something he actually said to me or actually does.
Or actually said.
So if you guys get a season 2, and maybe you guys get a season 2, if the Geekscapists go over to Urban Flicks TV and watch it, you guys, Geekscapists, I'm not just trying to get you guys to subscribe to a channel that you don't know anything about. Go over there, and they give you 7 days free to go over and watch all of their content. So now that you've run out of all the Netflix and the Amazon and the Hulu, all this stuff, and you guys are looking for more stuff to binge during the pandemic, because it's clearly not going to end anytime soon because we have incompetent leadership, go over to this Urban Flicks TV and at least get the 7 days, watch Casting the Net, and then there's all sorts of like really good films on there. There's comedies, there's like stuff that's not a comedy. Like, I mean, this is the one that here, I'm just going to open Urban Flicks. urbanflixtv.com. That's what you want to go to. I'm on it over here right now, browsing.
Oh, and let me, while you're pulling it up, let me just it's on Roku. It's a channel. So if you have Roku, if you have Apple TV, if you have Fire TV, if you have Chromecast, you can just download that channel. We have Roku. It was very easy to add the Urban Flicks channel, and there it is. You just sign up for your subscription. Or you can go to urbanflix.com if you like to watch things on your computer.
Yeah, the movie that I was really like into is Hunter Gatherer, which looks pretty good. It's in the comedy department, but it actually looks like it's a comedy that turns into a drama. It premiered at Sundance a couple of years ago, and then since I like comedy and I recognize a lot of the actors in it, that Lucky Number movie, like there's a lot of stuff in here that when I'm going through it, Geekscape, let me just go ahead and throw urbanflix.com. If you're watching this street, it's Urban Flicks TV. Let me go ahead and throw it into urbanflix.tv. Let me go ahead and throw it into the screen share for you Geekscapists.
Well, I think one important aspect of all of this too, I think, is that it's hard to divorce anything that we're going through right now with what the world is going through in terms of COVID and the unrest and all that kind of stuff. And what has struck me in the last few weeks, especially about urban flicks, is that everyone's being pushed to change. The world is upside down. Everybody is, especially if you're of a particular demographic that I'm a part of, being asked to learn and grow and listen and all that kind of stuff. And we're stuck inside our houses. Like you said, I'm running out of things to watch on Netflix. New huge movies are getting postponed and postponed and postponed. And you're in your house with this giant resource of other artists' voices that maybe you hadn't been exposed to or exposed yourself to until now, until this has all come to the forefront. And for me, it feels incredibly, I feel really grateful that we got a chance to get it done before all this kind of stuff happened. But, if representation matters to you, then it should matter to you. And if you're in your house and you can't go out to the bars and restaurants and stuff like that,
or shouldn't, you can, but shouldn't.
Definitely.
We learned that over the last couple of weeks.
But anyway, my big point is I think that a lot of uninformed people are viewing this time as a time of change, but also a time of homework. And it's not homework. It's watching television. It's opening your eyes to something that you haven't seen before. If you're awake, your eyes are open. You know what I mean? Like it's worth checking out. It's all right there for you. There's plenty of time to read interesting books. There's plenty of time to watch these interesting stories, especially as we run out of things that are being produced on a really huge scale. It just seems perfect for the moment. Urban Flicks TV.
That's right.
Charlie, when did
perfect
you start
for the moment?
Urban Flicks now? He's really like tub thumping for like a season 2. He's like, let's go. Let's keep going.
I want to work, baby. Let's do this.
We all want to work. Yeah. I mean, and it really does. We need traffic. And we do have the honor of being the most, we have the highest retention rate, which means that when people come to the network and they watch things, our retention rate is monstrously high. It's in the mid 90 percentile, meaning 100% would be you're watching from the first second to the very last second of the credits. So that's incredible. People tend to binge our show. They really seem to enjoy it. Once they start watching it, they don't stop. I was doing an interview yesterday and the guy said, I went to do my homework and I was going to watch the first episode just to see what it was about. And then I thought, that was really good. Let me watch the second episode. And all of a sudden he watched all 6. And that's what we're getting from most people, is that they are binging the entire series. They just really, thankfully, they're just really enjoying it.
It's funny.
Yeah. It's funny, it's fun. It's relatable. I think sometimes we think, when we have these diverse, I think this is what happens a lot. No one wants to watch shows with Black people because I don't know if I can relate. But the fact of the matter is that we can relate. We can relate to each other as human beings. And these are human interactions that you have with people every day. And the fact that we happen to be Black is just an added flavor to our characters and to the direction that the show can go in. But everything that we have there is completely relatable to anyone, even if you're not an actor. We get it. These things happen at all levels of different types of jobs. And the fact that we're able to also do this in a funny way is great.
It's a little dirty too, by the way.
It's a little dirty. There's some dirty.
There's some naughty words in there.
It's a little topless.
It seems like the medicine. It helps the medicine go down a little easier.
Right. And I want a season 2 because I want to see Willard on a horse. I don't think enough people know just how talented Willard Pugh really is. You want to talk about the jack of all trades.
What's that, Willard?
I got my quick draw rig already. Been practicing my drawing, my holster, quick draw. I mean, I'm on top of my game. I can't wait till showtime. I got to get ready now. Pre-playing. Only thing I can't do, my neighbors don't like this horse in this neighborhood in Pasadena. They said, got to get rid of the horse.
He was already ready to research season 2, and the shutdown has cost him a horse. So I think you guys need to get this thing going.
Well,
Oh, Willard, I mean, if I could say you're the elder statesman on this conversation, you worked for a long time. How have you seen things change, not just in the last month, last year? How have things changed as a Black actor over the last 30, 40 years?
Did you have to go there?
Yeah.
It hasn't changed enough.
Yeah.
Sorry, it really hasn't. I mean, honestly, I've been acting since I was 5 years old. I'm now 61, June 16th. And I grew up around Stax, and I was at Motown for a minute when I came out here. I've been in this business. My first job was Hill Street Blues back in '82 with Stephen Bochco. And it's been a tough road as an African-American actor. The roles just don't come often enough. The awards don't come to you. I mean, Color Purple was nominated for 11 Academy Awards. Only movie ever got that was Turning Point, and we got nothing. 11 nominations and got 0. And people don't want to say it, but personally, I felt it was racially motivated. Because as soon as Stephen Spielberg did Schindler's List, he got a bunch of awards and everybody loved him, and he was back on being the #1 guy again, when he was always a #1 guy. He had just never done a movie with African Americans before. And I guess some people may have felt he shouldn't have done a movie with African Americans first. He should have done a movie with people of his own group first.
Right.
It doesn't matter what comes first, last, second, as long as it gets done and somebody has the spot to do it. And he had it, and he took it on, and the numbers proved that he was right, just like with this show. People said, well, that movie's not going to make any money. It's not going to do it. It made over $100 million back in 85.
Right.
So, and to this day, it still stands alone. Just a great piece of work. So, no, it hasn't changed. I wish it had. If it would change, I'd be working all the time. But unfortunately, Hollywood is Hollywood. So you have to learn to roll with it, roll with the punches. And this show is one of those kind of shows that's very innovative, very creative, teamwork, and it's refreshing and new. And I was excited to even be a part of it, and somewhat get to play myself, and people can realize who we are in this business. So that's what makes I think it's so interesting. Right now, my friend's biggest complaint is where the next episodes. We've seen it 3 or 5. We've seen all 6 over and over again. When the new one's coming, so everybody's excited about it that I've talked to. So I can't wait just to get started on the next season.
It seems to be like an inherent problem in our industry that it wants to work like other industries. It wants to be a Ford assembly line. But we keep making unique products, and they still got to make the widgets. They still got to churn these things out. But in order to keep up the speed and make unique products, they need to suddenly start throwing everybody into categories. And if you don't stay in your lane, they don't know what to do with you. If they don't throw Linara into the other bin, they can't keep up the speed of casting. So it's lazy. The checking the boxes is just lazy, and it makes for bad product. I was talking to a friend and former guest of Geekscape earlier today, just online, and I was like, it's this checking of the boxes of being like, hey, and it's always by people who are just trying to make widgets out of art, and they're like, okay, I've satisfied that box, I've checked that box, we can move forward, and you can move it down the assembly line towards production. Oh, we've satisfied that. They're not actually making anything unique, and that's been a problem with making art, period. When you start to add trying to satisfy some racial edict or social edict on top of it, it just starts getting bad.
But there's also been generation after generation teaching the next generation in the business certain rules.
Mm-hmm.
Black movies don't work. Black movies don't work overseas. Black don't sell overseas. And they just keep perpetuating this. And it's not necessarily true. It's just these sayings that we all have every time. When I went to sell Kings of the Evening, oh my God, it was just an African-American period drama that's not about slavery.
And Andrew, you're walking into the room, and they're like, what is going on?
And they heard my name, Andrew Jones. I mean, they figured, okay,
on email, they're like, he must be related to Quincy. He's the one I've heard of.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff is going on.
So these hurdles and these cliches that we just have to keep just getting over and relearning and just kind of reteaching that we have to teach something new. And the new thing is that, no, these are stories for everybody. They can be women. They can be women of color. They can be Asian women, Black women, white women. It doesn't matter. It's just, there's just stories about people.
Well, what I find strange about that too is that, you know, there's been such a long history of teaching people and perpetuating the idea that it doesn't work. At this point, it starts to feel like, well, how would you know? You haven't even tried in years and years and years. And I think one of the huge things that we're seeing lately is it is a business, and it's a business in how you make these things. We have to get together. We have to have a budget. We have to whatever. But if you look at something like Crazy Rich Asians, they committed to making it at the level that they make almost everything else. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's hard to wrap your mind around really what the surprise was. And I appreciate that it was a great surprise, and I appreciate everything that it did and all the progress that it made. But what was the surprise? That you gave $25 million to capable filmmakers and they made a fantastic movie?
Right.
And Charlie, it seems like every 10 years, people are like, who would have thunk it? I mean, you think that Robert Townsend would have taught it. And then, like, Robert Townsend comes and makes it, and then Keenan Ivory Wayans has to do it not even 10 years later. Or Jackie Chan comes out, and they're like, oh, my God, now we got the Jackie Chan. We got it. We can trust to make movies with Asian leads. And then, like you said, it takes a while for the next one to happen. And, I mean, Hispanics are just now starting to get into the box office as of 5 years ago when you start to get some of these people, you know, as the leads in films. And
what's inherently, if you don't mind me saying,
but you would have thought Cheech Marin could have done that in the 80s when he did Born in East LA and it came out and it was big.
Right. Well, what's inherently racist about it, and just as an observation I think anybody can have, I hope I'm not speaking for people that don't need to be spoken for, but what's racist about it is they do make a commitment to, they make a half commitment to putting this kind of art out from different kinds of voices. And if it does fail, like most movies do, just in general, then they call it a representation of the racial aspect, is that's why it didn't work. There are a lot of shitty movies that come out.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
You know, that's
right. When a white movie fails, they don't say, "Uh-oh, we better stop doing white movies."
Yeah,
exactly. That's a great point.
They don't even call them white movies. They just get to be movies.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
And do you feel like
if I did this?
And do you feel like there's the one thing that I'm seeing with this COVID crisis is movies are just shifting left and right. Like all of the summer blockbusters are now coming out between November and February. And you could completely just look up and know when movies were coming out, because September and January were the sports movies. February were the black films. You know, you had obviously the summer blockbusters. Obviously going into November, December, you started to get either the Family Kid, Harry Potter movies, or the other Marvel movie, or the awards movies. And you could just see the calendar. Now the calendar is getting decimated. Mm-hmm. We've got Marvel movies like ending up in November and February, and that's causing other smaller movies to shift. It's just cats and dogs. I mean, is it an advantage to be pigeonholed into a calendar? Is it a problem? Because it just seems like the whole system needs to be redone and reinterpreted, and go back to like what you and Andrew and Charlie were talking about, that these should just be stories about people. And then the next question is, talking about your daughter, she's 6. Do we begin this immersion when they're kids? Do we get kids a doll that looks like somebody that doesn't look like them? Do we get them to? Does that make sense, guys?
Yes. I
don't know.
For the longest, when friends of mine who were having children before I would buy them black baby dolls. It didn't matter that they were white. I would purposely buy them black baby dolls. Because it's starting to become much easier, but for a long time, very hard to find them. But also just because, why not? Mm-hmm. When I was a kid and I had to go to a store, I didn't have any options. I had to choose the blue-eyed, blonde-haired doll,
the Barbie doll,
green doll, and I loved the doll regardless. So yes, no, I think you do immerse children in this.
So Jesus Middle Eastern, can we go with that from now on?
Well, that would be the right thing to do.
Do we do the Middle Eastern Jesus now? Like, no offense to Ewan McGregor Jesus, but can we kind of start doing that? Can we go to Middle Eastern Jesus? Is that okay? Can we, Geekscape, if you're listening, can we do the Middle Eastern Jesus thing now?
And I'm all for Black Santa and Asian Santa too.
Sure.
Man, Geekscape goes hard.
You know what?
Goes hard on social justice.
We're joking, Charlie, but there came a time, I think this was 4 or 5 years ago, people start calling it the Geekscape 3.0 or the Jonathan 3.0 or whatever it is. And I just found myself really unmotivated to talk about a bunch of bullshit that didn't matter. and as somebody who consumes that bullshit at a high rate, and we're talking movies, video games, comics, stuff that those are movies, video games, and comics that other people made. I'm never going to be involved with them. I'm never going to make money off of them. I have to make my own. Those are the ones I want to talk about. And I want to talk about filmmakers who make their own. I just didn't want to be stuck as sports radio, losers talking about winners. It wasn't fun for me to be like, this is what I think is going to happen in the MCU. I'm never going to be a part of the MCU, probably. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't pay my rent. I got to motivate myself to do things that I think matter. And with that, you can't ignore the stuff going out the window. Geekscape, thank you if you stuck with me. And F you if you haven't, because you're not listening anymore. So I can say F you. Like, guess what? Jesus is Middle Eastern. Kiss my ass.
That is awesome.
Have I lost my mind? No. I found it.
There's so many strange things. I mean, all the debates that we have about what we think should be the way that it is. Who cares? I mean, there are so many things going on that are quite real. You're looking at TV talking about the 60-game baseball season. It's like, okay, play or don't or whatever. There's a pandemic going on. I don't care. And it's all of these kinds of strange debates about statues and all of these strange things. I don't know. I got inspired by the Geekscape.
Well, I'm with you, and I do think that sports play a very important part in our society. They're not just like entertainment, but for a lot of people, that is how you establish a generational wealth that'll bring a lot of people out of poverty. So being able to like shoot a basketball for somebody who couldn't afford shoes, suddenly they're able to make. I mean, and this happens to 0.00000% of the population. Right. But for the people who make it, the 300 people that are in the NBA, they suddenly have achieved a generational wealth that for most of them, they were not able to. I think it plays a very important part of being one of the only ways that you can pull yourself up from a lower class to a middle class or an upper class. There's not a lot of ways to do that because what we talked about, the bricks are laid in a fashion that when you're at the top, you stay at the top. And when you're at the bottom, maybe you sink further to the bottom. But I think sports and entertainment are some of these places that are very few where you can achieve some kind of a generational income that will change you and your family, and there's no going back down. Does that make sense? Rick Doe on YouTube says, Jonathan can play the native shaman in the Alpha Flight MCU movie. I'm Hispanic, not First Nations, but if you change the character, I'm available. Don't change the character, Marvel. But there are if you're speaking of, I'm too old to play a member of New Mutants, but there's a Hispanic New Mutant. He's Brazilian, actually, Linara. So we'll see. But there's some Hispanic characters in the MCU. I can play white or Hispanic. I think. I don't know. Whatever. I'm like the Urkel of Hispanics. Hispanic but nerdy, I think. I don't know. But we've kind of gone crazy. But Geekscape, welcome to my TED Talk. It was that close to what you were kind of saying there, Charlie. It's like I don't think pigeonholing works. I think that it's nice that everything's mixed up. I think it's nice that everybody's being forced to reinterpret and reevaluate and figure out how to do things in a new way. We've got ourselves a question for Linara off of YouTube This one's good. Jeffrey wants to know, who is your favorite on-screen kiss? I'm guessing Jeffrey might have been in the series as well.
And you didn't get to kiss Brad Pitt in Killing Them Softly. You just had to be naked in front of him.
Pitt. No. Honestly, isn't Jeffrey my only on-screen kiss?
What?
Jeffrey, you're my only on-screen kiss. I've kissed you in everything we've done.
But in 2 movies.
In 2 different movies, yeah.
Or in a TV show and a movie.
Yeah.
Both of which I wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's that about, Andrew? Like, maybe there's a question for Andrew.
Going on there. Yeah.
Both of which I was in, and I didn't kiss anybody.
Yeah.
Willard, are you up for kissing Charley in season 2?
Oh no, Charley.
How much?
Is it the beard?
Whoa. How much?
Jesus will come first, and they still waiting on him. No, it won't happen.
Okay.
3 movies.
Okay, we're working on it. And Jeffrey says that in 3 movies.
I didn't kiss you in the second movie.
Not now.
Jeffrey.
Sorry.
We worked in 3 movies, but I only kissed him in 2.
Okay, well, Andrew, that was the one he didn't write or direct, I think, might be the reason for that.
No, he wrote and directed it. He just didn't have me kissing Jeffrey.
Okay, well, we gotta give that one a sequel.
Yeah,
we gotta go back to bat.
I have a 6-year-old that keeps coming up to me asking me questions. So
Geekscape is.
Oh, she wants to see the puppy. That's why.
She wants to see the puppy.
Treat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I did.
And she came up and said, "Hasn't it already been an hour?"
Yeah. Listen. Geekscapists, if you take anything from this, as we've started to become a bit amorphous, I want you guys to watch Casting the Net. It's on UrbanFlix TV. At UrbanFlix.tv is the Instagram. But yeah, if you guys just go to
UrbanFlixTV.com and
UrbanFlixTV.com.
And you can see how to sign up on Roku, Apple TV, how to get the channel, or just watch it online. And please do come watch Casting the Net. We need some more viewers right now. This is a viewer drive.
Yeah.
That's what we are doing.
It's amazing. It's funny. It's about Hollywood. It's
a good time.
It's great. It's really fun. I'm really lucky and grateful to be a part of it.
Yeah. No, it's one of those shows. Literally, it's a fun, enjoyable, easy watch. It's going to stimulate your mind a little bit, get you thinking and learning about Hollywood and its ins and outs. But you're also going to just enjoy it while you're doing it. And I mean, I swear, it'll fly by, and you're going to be wishing that we had 8 more episodes for you to watch right away.
Well, Geekscape is hopefully this episode flew by. I looked up and suddenly we were talking about all sorts of stuff and concepts and societal issues. But you know what? That's Geekscape. And I want to thank all of you guys listening and watching right now for following me on this for as long as you have. Maybe it's just this episode. Maybe you guys have been with me since the beginning, like Big Yanks over in Long Island. Thank you guys. As we start to kind of delve into these new waters, I think the show and myself have to continue to mature and figure out what to talk about, because I have to justify doing this and still be passionate about doing this. And that means like really talk about stuff that affects all of us. And you can't act that like this stuff doesn't affect us. And like we said, with the shifting film schedule, or the fact that comic books almost went under and may still go under, like this is affecting our media. All this stuff going outside of our window is affecting our media. And creators like the cast of the net folks that I've got here have found a way to take all those experiences that they've been experiencing for years and make a piece of artwork out of it. I want you guys to go to UrbanFlix, and I want you guys to watch it. Thank you guys so much for being on the show. It's been awesome.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you, sir. Great job.
Fun.
I will leave you guys back to your life. And Willard, we're going to work on you for that season 2 moment with Charley's character. He's a very powerful film executive, and
yeah.
Oh, and please follow us on Instagram too. Instagram and Facebook. We would appreciate that, so we can just keep you up to date on everything and keep sharing videos and trailers with you and fun stuff.
Willard, I don't know if Willard's going to budge on this one, but we're going to keep working on it.
I don't think so.
I'm the Rock of Gibraltar on that one.
Thank you guys so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Of course. Thank you, Andrew and Linara. Thank you guys so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good luck with everything. And Geekscapists, that's what I got for you guys. Thank you again for listening to Geekscape, watching Geekscape, and check out Casting the Net series. That's the Instagram. Find them on social media, and obviously find them on UrbanFlix TV. But yeah, welcome back. I know I took a week off, did some life moving around, but we're back next week with a brand new episode. We've got a couple episodes just completely lined up through July and August, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Some are going to be funny, some are going to be a little bit serious, some are going to be comics, movies, video games. We've put out a lot of feelers for awesome guests because it doesn't seem like we're going to be out of this COVID crisis anytime soon. I'll start working on that other room in a new studio, and we're going to keep trying to improve Geekscape for you guys. If you have any comments, if you got any questions, or if you just want to say hi, you can find us on social media at Geekscape. Just search for Geekscape on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Be part of our group on Facebook. That would be a lot of fun. And if you guys are listening to this and you really enjoy it, like, hey, if you're listening to this on the podcatcher, go and leave us a review on iTunes. We've been doing this for a long time. Go leave us just a little review and be like, hey, I like Geekscape, whatever you want to write. I'm not going to write it for you guys, but just leave us a review. That really helps us out and helps our visibility. And yeah, share Geekscape with your friends. That's really all I got to say. I'll see you guys next week. And thank you, Brentley, for saying, keep it up, Jonathan. You rock. I appreciate it. Seth Spanis in Austin says, good show, buddy. Love you, man. And then Richter says, a best of Geekscape would be all Francois. Can't say I disagree with that assessment. Thank you guys so much. This is Geekscape. See you guys next week. Over and out. Peace.